What if the secret to winning more high value clients this year isn't selling harder, but networking smarter with the help of AI? Right. And we're here with Nancy Fox. Nancy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Darren, for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Absolutely. And we connected on LinkedIn. It's a great example of networking, which I want to talk with you about today. Let's start with a heavy hitter. Let's talk about things that people believe about networking that aren't true. What's one thing that you see a lot of people believe about networking that they get wrong, that's not true?
So the first thing I want to say that they get wrong about networking is that if you approach someone that they don't want to talk to you, they do. The reason that people are very happy to have you approach them and kick off a conversation is because then it takes the pressure off of them. And so it's really our worry is that people will not want to talk to us or won't want to meet us or will think that we're weird if we approach them or enter into a conversation. But in fact, they're actually grateful because then they don't have to be the proactive one. They can actually be the receiving one and respond. And it takes a lot of pressure off. So being the initiator and being the curious one is actually a real gift to the people that, you want to meet most. So
I love that. And I do love this topic because it was something I had to try and figure out and learn how to do. I started my career as a 8th and 9th grade science teacher, so I didn't have to do much networking. And then when I started my business, I was like, oh crap, I got to get out and meet people. And I was very afraid that people didn't want to talk to me. And I kind of initially thought that people were standoffish or that I didn't fit in or that I didn't belong there, right? Little old me, what do I know? How do we get over that fear?
That's really interesting. I had a conversation with a big CEO one time. We had this conversation about networking. And he said, even though I've been leading this company for 15 years, I know everybody, in my industry, but every time I go into an event, I'm still nervous. And I went, wow, if a CEO at that level is still nervous and uncomfortable, it means that we're all in the same game. It doesn't matter. We're all worried about how we look, how we sound, how will people receive us? Will they like us? Will we fit in? That's all. That's why when I write about networking and rainmaking, I talk about the inner game and the outer game. The inner game is much more has a greater impact on us than the tactics and the techniques and the verbiage. It is such a big part of what works, what makes us tick, and what makes the people that we want to meet tick. Everybody's got an inner and outer game. And if you can really get a sense of who you're talking to and what they're all about and what they care about and who they are as people, you've got a huge leg up. So that's why we give people a lot of tools. Let's say, you're going to an event and you want to be meeting a certain speaker. You research that person, not just from what's written online, but also learn about his backstory, his interests, his hobbies, his family life, his charities, and start to get a sense of his inner game and what's important to him or her. And that is a huge difference. People don't prepare. That would give us such a leg up and a huge advantage to engaging people in new conversations. So there's a lot of great things we can do to improve the results that we get out of our networking, starting with, where to go to meet the right people.
Okay, yeah. So the inner game and the outer game, understanding your inner game and outer game and understanding theirs. How do we start to do that?
So today we're very lucky because, if I wanted to know, let's say I was going to have a meeting with you, Darren, I know I would be learning a lot from just what you published online and everything that you've said about yourself, your podcast, the questions you're asking your guests, your style of communication, even your facial expression, your body language, all of that is researchable today, right? And almost any person that's really out there in the business world has a profile, has information about them, about, where they went to school, what charities they support, even some of the interviews they've done for podcasts or speeches that they've made.
Hmm.
So many different things that we can learn about them, which give us clues about their inner game. Gives us clues. We don't know everything, obviously, but today we use AI to help us do a lot of much deeper research than we can ever do and much faster. And so I really encourage all of my clients and my students to do the backstory research on people to learn a little bit about their inner game. And AI,
Okay, very interesting. Yeah.
one more thing I just want to say, AI can
Yeah.
actually tell us, they can suss out, what your
Hmm.
Myers-Briggs type is very likely to be, or what your disc type is likely to be from the things they read about on online. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Use that AI to help you. Um, so, you've been doing networking for a while. You're a pro at it. I'm curious, since so much has changed over the years, post COVID, and we're now in this virtual world, is networking still as important as it used to be?
I think even more. I think it's even
Okay.
more because if you don't network, you're at a you're giving yourself a disadvantage from because everybody else is actually out there, right? So how we network today, I wrote an article about 5 or 6 years ago, before the pandemic, about whether online networking and in-person networking, which was better. And it was interesting because my perspective today has shifted a little bit. Back then I said, that it's pretty equal, but today, because of Zoom and other really good virtual um, video networking abilities today, we can really have. It's like I'm in the same room with you, right? It's practically we're in the same room, and you're in a completely different part of the state. But I just had a networking meeting yesterday with somebody who is in Italy, and it was
Oh,
just like
wow.
right there with each other. It was unbelievable. Like now I have a new connection,
Hmm.
a real relationship with real potential from somebody in Italy that was like, we're in the same room. So I think that today we're very gifted by having this convenience of online networking that we never had before. And it's very accepted. So I love being in person with people. There's nothing like it. It's more time consuming. It's more expensive. Um, and it's wonderful because we can't really, it's just a great feeling to be in the same room with somebody and also feel the experience of where you are.
Hmm.
And we can also say today that our ability to network with each other online is just as good.
Interesting. Um, can you share a story of how networking really changed your business or the business of somebody that you work with, how it maybe made a huge impact for them? I know for me, it's been very interesting because sometimes you meet people completely randomly, but then it completely changes the course of your business. How about for you? I'm sure you've had experiences like this. Can you tell us about one?
It was really interesting. I have so many different ones, and I can't figure out which one to tell you. Well, here's one. A number of years ago, my market, I tend to work a lot with lawyers and accountants and um, commercial bankers and people are in the finance world and things like that. And I met two people that were good networking buddies. One was somebody who ran an independent insurance company, and the other one did exit strategies for companies for business owners. And they were good friends. And we just networked, and I said, I would love to do an event. I'd love to do networking events, and we just were talking about it and nothing. 6 months later, they came back to me and said, we want to fund you. We want to fund you and us, and we'll pay for everything. We want to have a monthly networking event for lawyers and accountants, just partners, and all the decision makers, and we want to do it once a month. And we'll get some, you can run the show. It's all your game. You can do exactly what you want. We'll give you our list. You have your list. We'll put it together. We will do it at the Friars Club in New York City, which was an amazing location, had an amazing cachet. People loved it. It was central in Manhattan. We had people clamoring. It was free for them. They were clamoring to get in. And we did this for over 2 years, and it was the event of the month, and people loved it. So we had top people in big firms, middle firms. Everybody got to meet decision makers. Everybody got to, and I became, sort of a connector for everybody. So I got a lot of visibility and business out of it. But it wasn't about the business. It was the ability to give to people and exactly the right people and give them a journey. But who knew that when I met these guys, that it was going to turn into, a multi-year relationship that turned great for everybody. It was just a wonderful experience. So you never know.
That's really cool. Yeah, you do never know who you're going to meet. That's kind of the fun of it, I guess. I learned to like networking more as I practice it over the years. I'm probably not a pro by any means yet, but I got better, of course.
The more you do it, the better you get.
That's true. That's true. So help us understand when we go to a networking event, what should our attitude be? Are we looking to get new business? Are we looking to generate like real, genuine connections with people? How should we go into this event, and then what should we do afterwards to make sure that we're getting the most success out of our networking endeavors?
Well, the first thing is we are living in first of all, let me just put some context around this, Darren, because this is really important point. Networking has changed in that we're living in an era where there are two big things happening for people. One, we are overwhelmed and inundated with information and people coming at us, right? Constant.
Yeah.
So it's never been this intense at any point, and I've been at this for over 20 years. I'm telling you, nothing like that. We're just pitched constantly. So people are constantly coming at us. So people are overwhelmed with information and opportunities and invitations and all of that. The second thing is we're highly skeptical. There's so many scams. People constantly wanting something from you and selling you and pitching at you and trying to convince you. And so people are very, very skeptical. Like even just meeting somebody, they think, what does he or she want? So those two things are in the backdrop. So it's part of life today, but that's why I say there are two things that I think people should enter their networking journey with. One, curiosity about other people, not curiosity about how they can help you, but curiosity about them and learning about who they are and you'd be so surprised about what you can learn about people that they never talk about in their business. So curiosity. And the second thing is more difficult, but so worth it. Generosity. In other words, if you could go into any event, even a one-on-one networking event, with the standpoint of putting your own needs away somewhere for the 30 minutes that you meet with someone and only focus on them and what they're all about, your relationship will skyrocket. The interest that they have in you would escalate and accelerate dramatically. If you put yourself away and you come at it with curiosity, with great questions and really interested in them, a great deal of the time they're going to be interested in you. Not always. Some people are just focused on themselves. Okay, so that's them. But for the most part, the second you focus on other people, at some point, the interest flips onto you and you haven't done anything to try to get them to that place. The trying to get people to be interested in you is where people make the biggest networking mistakes. So, things, curiosity and taking yourself out of the equation for just the first 30 minutes. Give it up. You'd be shocked at how appealing you appear to people.
Yeah, great advice, Nancy. So having that curiosity, generosity, going into the networking event, and then what do we do on the back end? How do we make sure? I mean, there's so many networking events to go to. It's easy to just go and then you meet somebody and then nothing ever happens. What are your best practices for what to do afterwards?
It's so simple. I really like to nurture the relationship. If I have something that I think they would want to know about, like an event or some information or a book to recommend, it's nice to just, hey, thought you might like this. But even if you have nothing like that, just reaching out and saying, hey, it was great to meet you. Here's what I took away from our conversation. I would love to keep it going. How about if we meet in the next month or the next 3 weeks? Just chat, here's my no agenda. I just want to know what you're working on. And you can ask me what I'm working on. And you never know what's going to come out of it. It's so basic, simple that it's almost people try to make something happen. Just what are you working on? Like, Darren, what are you working on these days? Just curious. I'm serious. Like, what are you working on?
Yeah, we're really working on building up our community, and that's been a really exciting aspect of what we're doing and our monthly events that we do with our clients and other folks. Yeah.
Really? Who's in your community? Who's in your community?
So our community is lawyers and law firm owners exclusively, and we have over 100 members in the group, which is really, really exciting. And then we have a book that we read each quarter. Right now, we're reading A Random Walk Down Wall Street.
See? So I didn't know that. And now I'd like to know more about your community and what do
Yeah.
what makes people join. See? I didn't know that. And so you see, when my whole point, like that was an example of, what are you working on? I didn't know that. And if you ask me what I'm working on, you would be probably
Hmm.
surprised what I'm working on, right? So
Yeah. So there's a great question, audience. If you're listening to this, what are you working on? What was the question? What are you working on lately, or how did you phrase it?
what are you working on these days?
What are you
Seriously.
working on these days? Simple as that.
We're not even saying, it's just so simple, right?
Yeah. And it's a great question for lawyers, law firm owners, anybody who you meet, business leaders, because we're all always working on something. We have some plan, some strategy that we're cooking up.
What vacations are you planning? Where are you planning to go?
Yeah.
How are you going to work? I mean, it just, the silliest, most human things are the most conducive to relationship building.
Absolutely. Now, Nancy, let's talk a little bit more broadly about sales. I know you mentioned that sales has changed in the day and age where we are today, as networking has. I imagine part of that is the increased skepticism that maybe people have. Could you tell us a little bit more about how sales has changed and how we should approach selling a little bit differently in 2025?
Well, people have more choices. They have much greater access to information. They're also extremely used to getting stuff for free. The hard part is transitioning people from the free into the for fee, right?
Yeah.
It's a process. And so I think there's a way of giving people a taste or an appetizer. And then there's a way of converting. It's the challenge today is how to convert that relationship into something more tangible if you see there's an opportunity. Um, I have a few phrases that I think allow people. Timing is very important. Number one, timing. Don't rush it. Don't push it. Don't rush into the sale. A lot of people are very eager and anxious to close business and to keep the pipeline filled, and so they rush people before they're ready to make a choice or a buying decision. So,
Hmm.
number one, there are some people who are more ready to make a buy. There are people who are in pain, who are going through a crisis of some kind, and so they're
Yeah.
buyer ready. That's one type of potential client. When they're buyer, it is really a smart move to be identifying the most buyer ready people who are already in a big pain point. They're in a
Yeah.
must fix. Those people who are not buyer ready, but might be buyer ready in the next few months or weeks, those people are people to nurture and to keep the relationship going. And then have phrases that are not pushy, but more like, hey, maybe you'd like to have a conversation that's more pointed about what I can offer you. Perhaps. It's the words perhaps. Maybe you'd like to. Something that's not, it's gentle. And if the timing is
Yeah.
very important. So if you're not rushing, but the other thing is to listen for opportunities. Sometimes people are complaining about something and they actually need something and they don't even know they need it and want it. So it might be,
Yeah.
I heard you say X, Y, and Z. Maybe you'd like to have a conversation about actually a solution that we offer people like that. If you're interested, love to sit up some time with you. Maybe you'd like
Okay.
to, perhaps you'd like to, if you would like to. And I always like the would you like to phrase because the would you like to is an invitation that gives people a chance to say yes or no. And when they say yes, the door is open. It's an open door. If they don't say yes, they would say something like, I'd like to maybe in 6 months, or I'd like to come back to this, or maybe, or not right now. And that's fine, but at least you're getting some real clarity instead of trying to assume what people mean. Would you like to clarify things? So these phrases,
Yeah.
we have a whole checklist of all these phrases to give to our clients, and we have freebies and things like that to help people verbalize ways to move the action forward with people.
I love those. Those are great phrases. So hopefully, if you're listening, you wrote those down, or you can come back and you can listen again to those. Those are really fabulous. And sometimes, it's just that, right? We just need that little magic of how to phrase something. We struggle with the verbiage. So that's very, very helpful. Nancy, how did you get started in this business? And what got you interested in the world of sales and networking?
It's really funny that when I was my first career, I was in the women's underwear business for a long time. I was in
Oh,
charge.
wow.
I was in charge. Seriously, it was very completely opposite. I was in charge of the development of women's bra lines, like literally bras. That was my thing, and we sold.
Okay.
I was a real bra expert, and I led. Very crazy, right? So when I started my business, just like you, I didn't have a network that was outside of my industry, and I needed to really build that up. And then what happened was I started to get pretty good at the networking process. And one of the people that became my clients introduced me to one of his clients. And this particular client was a partner in a CPA firm. I didn't even realize how senior he was. We started chatting, and eventually he hired me to help cultivate the network that he had built and turn and nurture that and grow it into more business. At the same time, a colleague of mine closed her recruiting business and went back into marketing in law firms. So those two avenues started to open up to me, and I started to teach them how to have. These lawyers and accountants don't know how to talk to people, and I started teaching them how to network and how to talk to people and how to turn those relationships into clients. And that's what rainmaking is in the professional services world. They don't call it sales so much. Well, maybe they do it more today. They usually call it business development or rainmaking. And so that's how I got into it. I started with one or two people or one or two firms, and then that started to expand across the country.
That is so cool. I love that.
Networking, and that started to be Network Like a Fox. Sort of got to be a book that firms started to use as their primer network, and I started just associations, and it grew from there.
And we'll be sure to put a link to Nancy's book in the show notes. So if you'd like to check that out, great resource for you. Nancy, I have a couple more questions before we go. You heard me mention that we have a masterclass that we run. And the way it works is every quarter we have a new book that we read. So right now we're reading the investment classic by Burton Malkiel, A Random Walk Down Wall Street, which is if you've never read it, it's just fascinating. He takes us in the beginning on a walk through market history and some of the biggest bubbles and crashes that have
Wow.
occurred, going all the way back to the 1600s. Really, really fascinating
Okay.
stuff.
I'm going to pick that one up. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, and the reason we're reading it, there is so much. I mean, you would think in today's world where there's so much more access to information that that Wall Street's myths would have disappeared long ago. But we find that some of the same misbeliefs that people have still exist. And so we just find we're like, we want to educate people about what really works in investing, what's truth and what's lies, and what science has really shown us over time. And it's so fascinating because, these things continue to happen. As long as human beings will be involved in investing, we had, if you remember, after 2020, we had the meme stocks, right? And that was very much an example of behavior, investor behavior in markets, and it's a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it this quarter. I'm curious. You've written a book. You've read a lot of books. Is there a book that you're reading right now that you're really enjoying and is really being helpful to you in your business?
Oh, interesting. What's the name of the title? It's something like 10 times is better than 10 times is great.
Yes. 10x is easier than 2x.
I really love that book because I believe in that whole philosophy that we tend to
Yeah.
focus too much on every single person or opportunity, and that we should really look for I call them quantum leaps, where we actually a small activity or a small focus can actually blow up into the bigger opportunities for us. So I really like that one. It's not the newest book around, but it is something that I find was very, impactful for me. And of course, my favorite one of all is The Tipping Point, because that met from Malcolm Gladwell, which, by the way, he's now just refuted, which kills me because I think that his whole focus on the three different types of people turned really turned my life around, because I became a connector out of that. I realized that I was looking for a connector and I never found one, so I decided to become one. And it really changed the entire way that I operated.
Ah, very good. Great, great recommendations. We'll be sure to put those in the show notes for people as well. Now, one of the things I love about A Random Walk Down Wall Street is it's applicable to so many other areas of life, not just investing. And one theme, actually, we found this theme in a book that we read earlier this year, The Psychology of Money, which is
Yes.
another really great read.
Book, yeah.
And a common theme we're seeing in this one is the interplay between luck and skill. And I find that so fascinating in business. Luck can play a huge role in our success. Now, I've defined luck. My dad has defined luck. My dad, by the way, was the original rainmaker. He's the gift of gab. That's who he is. But he defined luck for me as when preparation meets opportunity, and a lot of that is being in the room. And it's so applicable to networking, which is fascinating. Being in the right place to have those conversations. What are your thoughts on that?
So that's so interesting. First of all, my main approach to networking is you should be meeting the right people, and always focus on meeting who are the right people for you, like who are the decision makers you want to meet, and focus on going to where they hang out. Fish where your ideal fish are swimming. Most people waste a lot of time on networking everywhere, and they go to the cheapest and the least expensive place to network, and then they're surprised when they don't get the right clients. So there's that very, very tactical strategy. It's very tactical, and I'm a big believer in niche networking, where you go where your niche is and you find your decision makers, and you definitely work really hard on spending most of your effort, 80% of your effort, on meeting the right decision makers. The rest of the 20%, you can sort of make it more general. But I believe in that. But also, as I said to you, like some of the people that have been my biggest clients, I met on the way out of the door of the networking event. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And I really recommend that you stay in touch with all of your clients forever. Like just say, even when you're finished working with them, say hello every once in a while because you think that they're going to remember to refer you, but they don't remember until you ping them. Just ping them. Just say,
Hmm.
hey, you just came to my mind. How are you? What are you up to? Just curious, saying hi. I
Yep.
do, and you'd be surprised about how much opportunity emerges out of that. Just be thoughtful. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes to ping somebody by email or by text.
It's a
That's
great
all.
reminder. We're so in an age where we're so used to just going to social media and posting and all of that, and that's great, but nothing beats that human interaction. And sometimes you just got to pick up the phone and start calling people.
Or even
And
some text through LinkedIn is also okay.
yeah,
You can do that
yeah,
too. You came to my mind. Actually, I saw you post something, and I would love to reconnect. But I just wanted to say hi. What are you up to?
yeah.
It's simple. No push, no pressure. As soon as it means something because they didn't do it for you; that you did it for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Nancy, it's been such a treat having you on the show today. In closing, why don't you tell our audience where they can go to learn more about you and your great work?
Well, thank you for asking that. Definitely thank you for having me. I love this conversation. You're a great interviewer. But I also want to leave people, I just posted on LinkedIn that we have an updated version of my 51 great icebreaker questions that's free. You can download that. You can get it on my LinkedIn profile, or I'll give you the link where you can get it on my wiserainmakers.com website, and it's a free download. You get 51 icebreaker questions that are graduated in terms of difficulty or more, the more experienced you are. So, it's giving you a whole bunch of questions to ask people to open the door to great conversations.
Awesome. What a great tool. That's fantastic. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes as well. And thank you so much for being on the show, Nancy.
It's great to be with you. Thank you for having me, and I hope your listeners got value out of this. And thanks again, Darren.
Success in business development isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about curiosity, generosity, and mastering the skills that build real relationships. The more you practice that, the more your network becomes your net worth. And remember, my friend, true wealth isn't just about money, it's about freedom. And here at the Lawyer Millionaire, we help law firm owners master both their money and their firms because when you do that, freedom naturally follows. Now, you heard me mention our next masterclass. We do a monthly masterclass live, and this quarter, our masterclasses are centered on our current book read, A Random Walk Down Wall Street, where we are pulling back the curtain on all of the financial industry's lies and half truths and everything else. And you don't want to miss this. So, not only that, you're going to get an amazing opportunity to network with other lawyers and law firm owners from across the country. So, you're not going to want to miss this. Join our next masterclass live. The link to sign up is in the show notes. Well, my friend, remember, freedom is the goal, wealth is the tool, and you have everything you need to build both. I'm your host, Darren Wurz. This is The Lawyer Millionaire. See you next time.